Hey guys, I'm FatBuddyCat, and this is Microbikology. Alright guys, and here is everything we're going to be using today. Most of these items are from GoPowersports.com. Exception being this brake rotor that I got on Amazon and the tires, but the wheels I did, as well as the MM80 plastic. We're going to be using a 54 tooth 420 sprocket for this build. On the MM80s, I like to use the steel sprockets instead of the adapter with the universal sprockets. We're going to be using the silver one, but they also have a really cool blacked out one. So when you're ordering them, sometimes you can change the color. Alright, and these are official like a whistle, the real deal Megamoto bolts. Okay guys, usually when you get these and they're brand new, they have some sort of a thread locker on them. It's blue. I'm going to try to put some thread lock gel on these. Get a head start. Well, that didn't go quite as neatly as I anticipated. Needless to say, it's the right color. That's right guys, make sure you have a rag and a pick. Keep your grease close by. We're going to whack those bearings. I'm just going to take off the outside seal and stuff some grease in there and put the seals back on. Alright, I haven't put any grease in yet, but you can see these are very good bearings. So we don't have to put a whole bunch, just enough to make a statement. The sprocket is solid, therefore we're going to put our valve to fill the tire on the brake side because the rotor is not solid. Find the holes, kind of make sure it's pressed in place and everything's straight, and you start adding your bolts one by one, and you straighten the sprocket as you go. Once I have two of them in, I snug it down so that everything's sort of flush, or as close as it's going to be. When I tighten this down, I start with this one, then I go to the opposite, the opposite, the opposite, the opposite, the opposite, back to this one. Alright? And I bring them home a little bit each time until I feel that they're all set where they need to be. I'm not sure what the exact torque specification is, but you know, don't go cross-threading these and don't strip them out. There's no reason to. Bring them home, let the Loctite do its thing. It's the same bear, just a different picnic on the other side. The reason I use these steel wheels is I find that the bolts strip before the hubs do, and what I do when that happens, you can see how this one's good and minged up. There you go. I just grab it with some channel locks, pull and spin, all right? Back it out. And once they start coming out, I just grab my wrench and back it right out of there. Usually if you take a new bolt, you go back in, it's gonna seat and it's gonna torque right up. It won't be stripped out. If it is, you can run a slightly longer bolt like I did right there with a little washer and a nut on the back. We're gonna go ahead and set that closer to our bike. Another thing you might notice is my MM80 has a red seat. Well, that's because I went over and got one at Go Power Sports. They also sell the black seats that come on these stock. The reason I have these guys, $19.95. The front wheel is going to be a lot easier to prep. Outside seals, grease, both sides. Wham bam bla jam. Some people might tell you it's easier to put the fender on first so that everything's straight. It's not. Put the wheel on first. Both the spacers are the same. The only thing I'm going to pay attention to is that I know my brake rotor is going to be on this side, so my valve stem is going to be on that side in the back. That's the same side I'm going to do it in the front. Here's the big advantage and what I love about this fork. When the fender isn't on there, you can turn it, all right? Which makes putting the front wheel on extremely easy. All right, you can see I just have the nut finger torqued on there. Once I get my fender on and tighten that up, then I'll tighten my axle. All right, I just let the front down lightly on the ground. Nothing's tightened while that's there, and it's kind of a counterbalance. This is conveniently up in the air where we can work on it. So I'll get my axle, my wheel, my spacers, and my brake adapter ready to go on. Alright, I'm just going to feed my axle in through the right side. I'm going to go through my brake adapter, my spacer, and a washer. The only reason I have that washer is because my spacer was just a little shy. Next, I'm just going to put my wheel on there, feed this thing through, do the balancing act. Over on this side, I'm going to have to manipulate things a little bit to get my spacer in there, but the sausage fingers, guys, make that a little difficult. I'll be right back with you. Just in case that sounded overly confident, I'm going to try to do it on video anyway. So, I'll scooch my axle back here as much as I can, feeding it in, getting it to twist around. Alright, I can feel that I'm in my bushing. I'm making sure that I'm not pushing my bearing out on the other side. That would be bad at this point. Easing it through. Almost there. Alright, I can see the end of it. Now I'm going to reach over here, get my spacer. And my best path is going to be up here. Okay. I'm balancing it on my knee. I'm trying to, all I'm worried about is getting the axle through the spacer at this moment. Okay, I'm through the spacer. I'm lining up. I'm out the other side. Wham bam bla jam. Just like that, guys. Alright, I'm not going to tighten the back until I install my hydraulic brakes. Up front, we gotta get that fender on. Alright, to put this front fender on, I'm going to be using 4 8mm bolts, a long extension, and a socket. The reason being is once the fender's on, the holes are on the inside. So I'm going to have to reach across underneath to put them on and tighten them. Well, it's a good thing I stepped back for a minute because I dropped a screw. This thing's hideous, guys. I'm taking that front fender off. I got something else. This is a custom fork brace. All it is a piece of 1-inch square tubing with some lightweight angle iron welded to it, couple holes drilled that line up with the stock fender holes. Now that I have all of my bolts started in my brace, I'm going to go ahead and tighten my axle. Okay, my axle has just a couple twists to make it fully tight. Before I torque it, I'm going to tighten up the 4 bolts up here, and that's going to pull my shock straight. And then last thing, I just torque my axle nuts. I bring it in till it just gets firm on the spin. Alright, that's when you know you're pressing up against your bearing. And then I back it off, so I get a nice spin. I can go ahead and trim that back later on if I want to, but I have plans for that. You step back, I'd say that's already a big improvement, wouldn't you? Well, that's going to be it for today, guys. On the next video, we'll tackle the hydraulic brakes and some more custom parts. Because as always, it's a work in progress. Have a good night. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.